we do have just an hour, not because of the town's limitations, but unfortunately my own. I have another work meeting scheduled at 3 o'clock.
Then I can go back to Larry David.
That's right. Okay. How you've had the minutes. Are there any changes or updates that need to happen to the minutes? No?
Seems fine.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to approve?
So
I
move.
move to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good, thank you. So I left the library parking issue on the agenda. You know, clearly nothing is happening with that right now, but it seems to me like that could probably go on hold until things start to sort of come back. Maybe later this summer or whatever, but I wanted to just check with you all about whether there are things you want to talk about concerning that right now.
Do you want us
Yeah,
to raise our
Janet.
hands and speak up?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Are they proceeding with the, is the library committee proceeding with the plans? Is there anything we have to do to make our voices, I mean, to prevent anything happening that we don't want to have happen?
Yeah, well, most of the town committees have not been meeting during this time. And I would assume they're continuing at some level on their fundraising. Terry, do you know anything about the library committee?
Okay, the committee, the library has not been meeting like any other town committee. There's also
Okay.
the trustees though, and I'm not sure if they've been meeting, but as far as the delay with the project due to the court case, it's going to be delayed for a while because the courts have been closed. And this is not an emergency. They've been doing a lot of emergencies in the courts with domestic violence. So I think it's, there's plenty of time, I think.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm going to suggest we just table that, put it on for a few meetings out when it seems like it's becoming a current issue. New business. Janet, you sent an email from, I forget the gentleman's name, who is representing the deaf and hard of hearing community.
That's Bob Andrews.
Bob Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
And his main concern was access to town meeting and maybe other meetings, maybe like select board meetings or whatever. I can reach out to Carmen Reese. I think she had hoped to be on this call today, but I can reach out to Carmen and find out what is being planned for the town meeting, which I think is now postponed until September, if I've got my info correct. But who knows if it will happen then. I guess it remains to be seen what happens over the summer as things are reopening, whether people can follow the safety guidelines well enough to keep a resurgence from happening. So, we'll see. But I'll reach out to Carmen about that, and I should be able to give you some info at the next meeting.
Jean, as I mentioned, I needed to get back to work.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lloyd.
That's
I
all
forgot
right.
about that.
No
I said I would let you speak first, so please do.
All right. If people remember, in the dim distant past, we had spoken about my reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce on the issue of accessibility. I had some good conversations with a person there who I guess is the administrator, and she encouraged the commission to draft a statement that could be published in their newsletter. Now, I have no idea, of course, what, if anything, is going on, but I did prepare something, and I'd like to read it for comment. I don't know if anyone knows whether the Chamber of Commerce is operating now or what's going on. Does anyone have any information?
They are sending out newsletters because
Okay,
I've
well, that's good.
received a couple of them. Minuteman is a member of the chamber, so I've
Okay.
gotten a couple
All right,
newsletters.
well, that's good to know. And what she said is that members were really very receptive. And here's what I put together. We have been charged by the town to explore ways in which we can increase access and usability for individuals with physical, emotional, and or cognitive challenges to all town and private historical and business sites in the town. We are aware that there are special challenges regarding access to some of the many older businesses within the town, which do not currently, nor are they required to, conform to ADA guidelines. In some cases, the solution may be less challenging than in others, requiring, as an example, the installation of an outside buzzer in situations where access would be possible if the front door could be held open. That, by the way, would apply to the bookstore. We would like to partner with the Chamber of Commerce in meeting these challenges and increasing accessibility for Concord citizens and visitors. So that's kind of what I had drawn up. Interested in any people's thoughts or comments, but the sense I had is they're really willing to work with the commission. I'm coming up with fixes, which in some cases, like with the bookstore, are as simple as a buzzer. Other cases, it could be a ramp. In some cases, it's really not going to be possible. And now that everyone has had much more experience with curbside pickup, hopefully some of the places that don't have access or can't really be made accessible would be willing to do that. So this is where I am right now. Obviously, I was going to present this in February, but there was no February. So I'm interested in any thoughts or comments.
Yeah, Mary Beth.
I just have some comments. I think that, it may be that you want to explicitly say all of the businesses have now have had a chance to experience curbside delivery and online services. And that kind of happened serendipitously. Right. But now that they have, maybe we could take advantage of that, and they could think about how they could continue those services once we get back to a new normal, or the modified normal, maybe continuing that, and how that benefits.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, so maybe just sort of, I mean, you said it, just be more explicit about it.
Yeah.
The only other thing that, this is maybe minor, and I don't really know if it even needs to be said, is that you mentioned various kinds of disabilities, emotional disability, cognitive disability, and whatever.
Yeah.
But then you kind of say, well, if you're in an older building, you don't need to accommodate people. But that's really only true about physical disability. They still need to accommodate. They still have ways that they could think about accommodating people with other disabilities, other than older building or not. You know what I mean? So
that's a very good point. I was just making the point that we do recognize that in many older structures, and like it or not, they are not bound by the ADA. So anything they chose to do would be voluntary. I think many people will choose it, but that's a good point.
Yeah, and maybe it's good to make the point that we recognize if you're in an older building, you can't do a ramp, or you can't do anything with your stairs, but just sort of make that separate, that physical disability isn't every disability.
Okay.
True. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And maybe instead of talk about older businesses, you talk about older buildings.
Yes, I like that much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any
Janet,
other?
Janet, I think, has a comment.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that I wonder, they know that they can't, that they aren't obliged, if they live in a building that can't be changed. I wonder if we want to give them that out. They have that out because they can't change it. But do
Yeah,
we want to say it?
just
And
to,
rather than just say
yeah,
that they have to make every possible accommodation.
sure.
And they know if they have an old building, it's excused. I wouldn't give them
Well, my idea in saying that was to make clear that, we are going to be reasonable and work with people. We do
Yeah.
recognize that,
Mhm,
look, some older buildings can decide we're not going to do anything.
mhm.
So that was the point I was trying to make.
Mhm.
Obviously, we hope everyone will do something,
Mhm.
but
And then I would include that.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
wouldn't want to get into an argument about, well,
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, no, you don't want to get into an
Right.
argument, but
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
just,
Well, the
Okay.
other thing is that there may be, even if you are in a building that isn't accessible, there may be small things you can do. And
Right.
they may not be aware of them. And I'm wondering if
Mhm.
there's a way to sort of offer, like, if you'd like some help considering
Mhm.
looking at that, we have the expertise to do that, because sometimes it's like a portable ramp or this.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
buzzer
Sure.
Exactly.
or,
Yeah.
so maybe offer that at the same time.
yeah,
Or
and-
handrails.
yeah,
Right, I think
Handrails.
that's a good idea, and you could put in our what's the email address, Mary Beth?
I never could remember
Discom,
it. I always had to look at it. I think
okay,
I always had to look it up. I can
I
look it up on
think-
the phone. if
yeah, could you
Yeah.
maybe after
Yeah,
the
let me
meeting,
look
could
it
you
up.
send that, Mary Beth, why don't you just send it to Lloyd after the meeting?
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll do
yeah.
All
that.
right, so what
Okay.
I will do is thank everyone for those comments. I will rework this, and how do we, I know we can't do comments on things outside of meetings, but
Right.
once I have a new version, should I just have it ready to present it on next meeting, or what are the best logistics here?
I think you could do that. That's probably the cleanest. I think if
Okay.
you're feeling like you want to get something out there sooner, you can send it to me. I can send it to the members. If someone had a particular question, they could get back to me, but that gets a little muddy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I don't think much is going to happen, obviously. So I will rework it. And then at our next meeting, which I guess we don't really have a clear sense of now, I imagine you'll
Well,
send something out.
Yeah, I think we can hopefully schedule something in a month so that we
Okay.
get back on our
Sure.
monthly meeting. Times may vary just based on
Right.
what the town can provide us in
Sure.
terms of
Sure.
Zoom capacity.
All right.
Um,
Well, I will
be-
work. And,
Thank you for doing that, Lloyd.
Yeah, I do have high hopes for this. There really seems to
Good.
be a lot of interest. So, okay.
Good.
Well, listen, everyone.
All right, before you go, can you
Yes.
stay on just 1 second?
Sure.
I received an email from the town which said that there are 3 members whose terms are up, but that these 3 members could stay on if they choose to do that. So you are one of them, Lloyd.
Okay.
I am one of them, and Jennifer, who was not able to be here today. But I will ask her if she's interested, willing to stay on. Lloyd, if you know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is simple. Yes, I'd love to continue.
Okay.
On
All right.
the commission.
Yeah, and I would love to stay on as well. I do want to put on I want to let you guys have a chance to think about it, but I've been chairing this committee or commission for quite a while. I think the whole time we've been together. And if I want to provide the opportunity that if someone else is interested in stepping up into that position, I would be happy to step back. So if you all want to think about that, I'll put it on the agenda for next month. You know, loved doing this, but I do want to feel like other people have that opportunity if they want to do it, and it certainly won't hurt my feelings at all. So, Janet.
I think that you know more about this issue than any of us, or certainly than I do. I mean, it just seems this is your work. So
It is my work.
It's,
It is my life's profession, and it's my passion. But that doesn't mean that someone else wouldn't be equally good at chairing the commission. So think about it. I'll put it on the agenda for next time, and we can talk about it some more.
I have to go.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd.
Well, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Okay. So the other thing that is on the agenda is just talking about the impact of COVID-19 on the disability community in Concord. And I can tell you from my perspective, it's having a huge impact, on the people we serve, on our staff, on families. But I'm wondering if there are things that you all think of that we can do to assist people during this time. Yeah, go ahead, Mary Beth.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought you
no,
started
well,
to
because
speak.
my thought, this is not really a well-formed thought. But I have noticed, I read for entertainment, I read it a lot more often now than I used to, that neighborhood digest.
next door.
Next door.
Yeah.
Next door. And one of the things that I've found really fascinating about it is that I actually think that some of the bike, like the Bruce Freeman Trail and other areas that were very carefully made accessible to people with disabilities, have become less accessible. I see a lot of discussion from people who say they have an immune some kind of immune compromise situation, or from age or whatever, that they're sort of asking people who are well and healthy and jogging past them or biking past them without a mask to please consider that there are people who are out there using it, who can't move out of the way quickly, who don't really want to be exposed to their jogging expiration, blah blah blah. And there's like a whole argument that's going on, which is very disturbing. It's like, look, if you're sick, stay home.
Yep.
If you have an immune compromised condition, stay in the house. Don't be out on the paths. Don't ask us to get out of your way. And it's kind of weird, because I think like that is so interesting, because I mean, I know for me personally, the whole Bruce Freeman Trail has become inaccessible. Now, I used to use it all the time. I used to go there in my wheelchair. I used to go there on my recumbent bike, and I won't go near it anymore for those reasons. And I don't know what could be done. I mean, I've thought about like a letter to the editor in the journal, or I've thought about even a post on that site. And I have said some things on there on and off, not for a long time. But for this particular issue, I have been thinking about going on and trying to say something that isn't, there's like all this kind of shaming and blaming, and it's getting very ugly.
It is.
It is.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else has noticed this. But
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Terry has, go ahead.
yeah.
A couple things, a question and a comment. I am also the select board liaison for the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Committee. So we might be able to get this item on their agenda when they, but I think I don't quite understand, Mary Beth, what you're saying. And I don't want to get too deeply into any health issues that you have and violate your rights.
No,
But
that's
I don't can you explain why you're avoiding it exactly? I don't quite get it.
Well, because, and now this is based on what I hear from what I'm reading on that site. What happens is the people pass you who are jogging or on a bicycle, who because they're jogging or on a bicycle are not using a mask because it impedes their, maybe it makes it hard for them. And so the people who are, who have maybe an immune compromised disease or who can't quickly move out of somebody's way are getting exposed to it. They may have a mask on or they may not, because some people can't, wear masks. I mean, so that's what I understand from reading it. Now, from a personal experience with it, I noticed that, I stopped going because there are many more people and I really can't step off the path to get in, with a wheelchair, you can't like step into the woods, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have different devices. I actually have 3 different devices I use on that trail, but not any one of them allows me to quickly jump out of somebody's way and step off the path so that a jogger who's approaching me and is going to get too close so that I can distance myself. I have to rely on that person to do that.
Beth, I find the same thing on the sidewalk.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you know
I do
what?
too.
Yes. And so I don't know. I believe, I think that that's true. And I think that's probably something that I don't know about because I don't have that experience. So, but I did, for the first time since this whole thing began, I did try to I went to Verrill Farm the other day and I noticed how hard it is just to get around the store.
Yeah.
Without, keeping a distance from people because you're passing each other. And so maybe what I'm saying is unrealistic or asking for is not realistic. I don't really know. Maybe everybody is having that same experience and it's not particular to, I'm absolutely open to hearing.
Yeah, I can't speak for stores because I haven't been in a store since the middle of March. I've been trying to be careful of myself as well because I've got a couple of underlying health issues that are not a problem day to day, but they would be a problem if I came down with COVID. But I do go out walking just in my neighborhood, not so much on the rail trail because I feel like whenever I've sort of gone near it, it seems like there are a lot of people on it. But there are people, as you said, jogging, biking. I do see some wearing masks, but they're just people walking that, just aren't bothering. And, I'm wondering a couple of things. Certainly a letter to the editor might get some amount of attention. But Terry, is this something maybe the select board could discuss in terms of providing stronger language to Concord residents about the need to wear a mask? The governor has said, if you go out, you need to wear a mask.
Right. I will certainly bring it up. It is quite a debate, though. We're having an argument in our neighborhood, the same argument. There are athletes who are having a problem wearing masks and with the exertion that they're doing. And then there are other people who are afraid to go out because they're not able to social distance. So it's, I think you're right. It's happening in stores, it's happening on sidewalks, it's happening on the rail trail. I know town manager Stephen Crane is always saying that he always wears his mask as a sign of respect for the other people around him. I personally have been having trouble when I'm exercising. I don't like to wear the mask.
Yeah.
A good compromise that I think is working sometimes for everybody to have the mask and you have it ready. And then because a lot of times there's nobody there and I don't need it. When someone's coming, I can pull it up quick. Now, if you're on a bicycle or cross-country skiing and your hands are busy, I don't know if you can. I mean, there's a lot of, and I don't know what the answer is, but I will bring it up, and I can't promise what the solution is.
Yeah, yeah. So let me offer a suggestion that just sort of popped into my head, because I do, you know, sympathize with people who are more athletic and really want to get out there and exercise and breathe hard and so forth. What if the town sort of established either athlete hours, you know, an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon or evening, or alternatively, masks 100% required hours. So that it would be possible to meet everyone's needs, but yet more people maybe would comply with this. I mean, we're not at the point where we're going to follow Salem with their $1,000 fine.
Yeah, I live on Main Street and I see kids walking by all the time, groups, 4 or 5 kids, no masks, nowhere. I mean, sometimes people exercise by with it low, and I think that's technically what the law is, that you're supposed to have it on you in Concord, and then pull it up when you're passing someone.
Yeah.
But I find that the younger people, some of them do, but more often I don't see that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't know
Bonnie.
how to reach that audience and you know, give the weight of how important it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see the same thing. I live on Main Street. Meryl lives on Main Street, so yeah.
Yeah, we see it.
Do you think that the majority of people who are obeying the mask rule are under 30?
I don't know.
Who are under 30?
I've really seen it with all ages.
Oh, it's not just a kid thing.
No,
It's a teenage thing.
no. My husband and I walk a lot and all around in West Concord, and it's a mixed bag. You know, there'll be moms pushing strollers who are wearing masks, but then there's others who aren't, and it's, you know, and there are kids wearing masks and others who aren't. It's not it doesn't seem to be an age group thing, for better or worse.
Yeah.
I think it's more personal feeling of responsibility or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I think that it's an issue that would be worth the town, you know, the select board thinking about and trying to address, because you know, there's some level, and I've have read some stuff in like the Globe magazine and such, that, you know, where people have tried to do public shaming of others that aren't wearing masks, or just been sort of downright rude, and you know, that's not going to build goodwill in our community for sure.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We had a group of athletes drive into our neighborhood from other towns, park right in front of our house, a whole bunch of cars, not wearing masks, just really disrespectful. And I complained about it, and a lot of people are mad at me. Very emotional issue on both sides.
It is.
It's very difficult, and I don't think we want to enforce it with $1,000 fine. We don't have
No.
I think that
No.
public
It wouldn't
shaming,
happen.
you know, the only thing you can do is just go up to those people and remind them to wear masks in a polite way.
You don't want to get close to them.
Yeah, true.
But you can point to them and you know, point to your mask. I will bring it up, but I think probably a international problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But you know, if we can sway it a little bit in our own community, so much the better.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a way to, I don't know, this is probably hard, but set up a zone. You know, like I was thinking about your Oasis site, Jean. I don't know if that's up and running yet.
Not yet.
Kind of like a safe zone, you know, that you know that if you went there to sit or to walk, that somebody wasn't gonna, everybody there was gonna have a mask or keep a distance. You know, like in the store, it's like elder hours in the stores, which I don't think you could get away with setting up on the trail or anything, but some kind of a zone that would be, I don't know, just like you could trust that people realize this is a zone where you can't, you know, run or whatever. You have to really respect the rules, but safe zone.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we don't have our Oasis. We haven't even broken ground yet because of all the closures, but we will as soon as we're back, or maybe even sooner. But I'm for anyone on this commission, I'm happy to offer, if anybody wants to go to our property, if you want to walk around, there's a pretty big parking lot. There's very little traffic coming and going. Our building's officially closed, but we do have a couple of nice large picnic tables which are handicap accessible. And if you bring your own equipment, we have a basketball hoop that we've just put back up. Shh, Terry. Shh. It's private property. So that we could get some of our guys there to be able to be outdoors and exercise. And again, if you bring your own equipment, we've got a little 3-hole putting green with an accessible pathway that goes up to it. So, you know, people are welcome to use our space if that's at all helpful. It's not
that quiet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But all of our staff are required to wear masks if they're around anyone. And, you know, again, it's very few people coming and going. It's mostly a couple of people from the business office. And we've got a driver who has become Mr. Groceries. He goes out all day long. That's all he does, is grocery shop for all of our homes. And do other kinds of deliveries and stuff. So he's in and out, but you wouldn't see very many folks. So that's an offer if it's helpful. Terry, yeah.
That's a great idea, Jean. Thank you. And I was just checking the select board agenda while you were talking. This meeting is at 4 o'clock today. And I'm not sure if we're getting back to liaison reports today. We were supposed to, but I don't see it on the agenda, so it may come up. And if it does, I will certainly bring this up, but I have a better idea. Is anyone from this committee available like around 4:30 or 5 today? Because at the end of the meeting, we have public comments. And if one of you would talk about this and suggest athlete hours or a zone, or, you know, I think it would carry a lot of weight if one of you came in the Zoom meeting in the public comments at the end.
I would think Mary Beth would be the person to
Yeah, I can make myself available at that time. So how would I go, how do I get the Zoom link for that? I go on the town website and then go to that meeting and find it. And what's the name of the meeting? What is it, the meeting again? It's
Select board.
Select board.
And we have Jeremy with us here, and Jeremy, I think, will also be with us at the select board meeting. So do you see his name there, Jeremy Romanuel? You see he's on.
I see his little icon there. Yeah.
So if you talk to Jeremy, you could probably figure out how to get you on the public comments.
Okay.
Yep. So what you have to do is, like you said, you would just go to the website, and on the calendar, the select board meeting is right there, and then the links on the agenda. And then when it's time for a public comment, the chair will just say, you know, anybody, member of the public who's here would like to give a comment, you know, and you can then you can go ahead and unmute yourself and then give your comment.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeremy.
You're
Could I ask you to sort of go out of your way a little bit on this? I know that somebody sent out an email a couple of days ago announcing the select board. Do you have access to that? Could you forward it? If you forward it to me, I'll send it on to all the other members.
Is this for the agenda?
Yeah, and the link.
Gotcha.
Oh, the link would be in the agenda, right?
Right.
I'll go ahead and send
Okay,
it.
yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, what about other things? Are there other things that are really impacting the disability community here? Food?
Food.
Do we feel like food is an issue? Either getting it from the store or just being able to.
Well, I shouldn't have said that because I haven't done any grocery shopping in about 3 years. So people always get me my food. I haven't been able to walk through a grocery store. But I'm saying that as I'm just tossing it out there. I would think that getting food would be an issue.
There seems to be a lot of people on that, again, I use that neighborhood site, that volunteer, that very, very generously volunteer to do food shopping for people who can't do it on their own. But I know there are a lot of people who don't use that, not everybody uses that site. So I don't know how people who, what people do who don't know about those kind of services.
Also,
We do. We have.
I'm
I'm home with someone who is immune deficient, and we bleach everything that comes into the house. And Crosby's has actually delivered to us.
Yeah.
So
They
we
have
pay a little
delivered?
bit. They deliver. I explain the situation, and they deliver, and then I bleach everything that comes in, or dump it out of the bag with gloves and a mask. But I had to write a letter to the manager and talk to him personally, and they do charge me more. But that way we can just totally stay away from.
Crosby also does curbside.
Yes.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So I just send them an email and about all the products I want. And when they're done, they call me and I give them the credit card information. And then my husband will pick it up. I have picked it up because they'll bring it out to the car and put it in the. But
and what do you do about the money, the exchange of cash?
You pay when they call me. There's no cash exchange.
No.
When they call
So
me,
you
to say
do by
order is ready. I just use a credit card.
credit card.
But yeah, I do this. I'm immune deficient as well, so I do the same. I just bleach all the. I don't bleach. I actually just use soap and water on most of them.
Yeah.
Because that is just effective. Some things I spray with bleach, but yeah, that's a lot of work that you're doing that for.
Yeah.
Definitely
It is.
add to your grocery shopping efforts.
Yeah.
to do
Yeah,
that.
it does. It does. I think there. Yeah, go ahead, Meryl.
I just, well, maybe it's because I've been away, but I am unaware of who you call or what this site is that you were referring to, Mary Beth, and whether this is publicly known to people.
Yeah,
There are a lot of people out there, as I am, who are immune deficient, and I'm sending my husband out, but quite honestly, it's a bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's a website, Meryl. If you want, I can offline. I can send you an email link to it.
Oh,
maybe
that'd be great.
you have to sign up, and it takes a little bit of work to get on it. But I don't know. It's helpful for some things. It's definitely entertaining.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you want to send that to the whole commission.
Okay. I'll figure that.
Also, how do you get in touch with Crosby's? I mean, is there a
Oh, you
particular-
just
call.
yeah, you just call up. Yeah,
Just
but I
call.
can also send you the Crosby's email. I mean, the first time that I didn't know, I went on their website, and on their website it'll say for Concord it gives an email address. It's John somebody or other.
I
Coming.
see.
So then then I just called up. I said, so what do? I understand you have curbside. And they said, well, you just send us an email And, you know,
Right.
you have to tell
Right.
them like what brand, what size, and, you know, that kind of thing. And as
Perfect.
they're shopping, if they don't have that size or that brand, they're great. They call you up and they say, well, we don't have a pint, but we have a quart. Is that okay? You know, and you go, yeah, that's okay. You know, if not.
Oh, that's
And
great.
it's great. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
That's
very
a lot
nice about it.
easier. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
great.
I've been
You
trying
pick
to
it up.
use all these, yeah. Delivery services can drive you nuts because,
Well,
you know,
yeah,
I've
but-
tried
yeah. Yeah, but
the
on
instant-
that website, it's like next door, there are all of these very nice people who say, oh, if you're elderly, if you're immune compromised, you know, call up and, you know, I'm a college student on break and I'll, you know, or whatever, and I'll shop for you. And I think what people do is they give them a tip, but they
Oh,
don't charge
sure.
their services, but people give them a little tip and then it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be happy
Yeah.
to. I'd love to have that service because
Yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody, we certainly want to support our local businesses, but another resource, if anybody has a BJ's membership, they deliver as well. They charge a $15 fee. But, you know, if you're ordering larger things like BJ's typically sells, and they actually have toilet paper, you know, the fee seems reasonable.
Yeah.
You had asked,
Okay.
Eugene, you had asked about, was there anything?
Yeah.
You just threw out the question about were the things that we weren't thinking of. I can't think of anything else. I'm just getting us back to where we were
Mhm.
about with that question.
Yeah.
I was concerned that a neighbor of mine told me that the group residents on West Street had people in it who were COVID positive. And it made me feel uneasy that there may be, you know, this sort of vision that there are people floating around your neighborhood.
Are you sure that's true, Meryl?
I don't know if it was true, but I was disturbed to hear it.
I think that all of us have to assume that we and anyone we encounter is
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
Mhm.
true, but I just wonder about the West Street house of three. I would think if anybody in there tested positive, they would be being treated.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you, for all of our homes, we have had some COVID cases in our homes. We have had some people who've been hospitalized. And we have people who have had COVID and then test negative afterwards. You know, the test at this point, to me, it's sort of like a point in time. Like, I could be tested today and be negative, and on Friday I could, you know, be exposed and I could be positive the next day. So, but it's a piece of information.
Right.
The people that we serve do not go out without staff, and if they are going out in the community now, which we're only allowing people to go for walks around their neighborhood or for a drive in the van. But if they go out, they have to wear a mask, just like everybody else. And so we do our best to protect the people we serve, our staff, the community, everybody. But, you know, we have had some, and I think Mary Beth is right. We all just need to assume every person that we encounter is potentially positive, whether they have any symptoms or not.
Right. Right.
So I hope that was helpful information.
Yes. Yes.
I can't share diagnostic information specifically by person.
No.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just didn't want ugly
Yeah.
rumors.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
yeah,
I mean,
several.
I think it shouldn't be a stigma to be positive. I mean, it shouldn't be a stigma if your neighbor is positive.
Right.
That's not
Yeah.
ugly rumor. That's like, there's a lot of people who are positive living among us. So I don't know why, I mean, I think that we shouldn't, we need to be careful about that.
I agree.
Yes, right. The
Yeah.
way in which I was told was that it was not a positive, it was not a positive thing,
Yeah. Well,
But I
feel,
understand what
yeah, I feel like the people we serve are less of a danger to their neighbors than potentially the people who are out running without a mask or, anything else. So, yeah. So there are a couple more things I want to touch on, and we do need to finish up by 3. I forwarded on to you the email from the Mass Office on Disability that they're available to provide information and answer questions and so forth if people have anything. Hopefully you got this or something that looked like this.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make mention of that. And Mary Beth, you sent me the COD agenda for the
Yeah.
statewide group. Are there things that group talked about that you would like to share?
Well, I was just, it went kind of town by town, the people that were attending, each sort of discussed what their particular town or city was doing in terms of their commission. And so some of them hadn't met. There hadn't been any commission meetings because they were sort of put on hold with COVID. Others, I think the majority of them, the ADA coordinator was also part of, was like the town manager, assistant town manager, or somebody that was on the select board of the town, part of the town management. And so their issues were being sort of addressed that way by the ADA commissioner as part of the active ongoing city council meetings or select board meetings. There were some that Watertown, I think it was, and maybe Newton, had cart access to the Zoom public comments, and so those were some of the things that were just interesting to me that people were doing. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for you're so good about attending those and
I'm not really
sharing the info. Well, you're much better than any of the rest of us.
I don't always attend them, but I usually read the minutes in case there's something that I
Okay.
want to know about. So,
Yeah, that works. So I'm going to throw this into correspondence and miscellaneous. If you haven't seen it already, I highly, highly recommend the movie Crip Camp.
Oh.
It's an Amazon original. It starts with some historic stuff about a camp for people with disabilities back in the 70s, I want to say. And it features some of the real leaders of the disability movement. Judy Heumann is very prominent in the film, and a couple of others. And if you haven't seen it, it's an Amazon movie. So if you have Amazon, it's on Amazon. I don't know if it maybe is also available on Netflix, but it's Crip Camp, CRYP CAMP. Really, really good.
Spell it again.
I'm sorry?
Spell it again, please.
Crip, CRYP. This was their term.
Yep.
Crip,
Yep.
CRYP, Camp, CAMP.
It's good.
Really, really good.
I've seen it.
Yeah. It really gives you a good sense of the early struggles and history of the disability movement way before the ADA.
Justin Dart.
Justin really did not feature very prominently in this particular film because it was really the prior
Yeah.
things that happened. So
Huh.
anyway, I recommend that. And it looks like this format works out pretty well for
Yeah.
most of our members. Unfortunately, Jennifer said between work and homeschooling her 3 kids, daytime just doesn't work for her at all. And Jeremy, is it possible to do an evening meeting or even a 5 p.m. meeting?
Yeah,
Are
you
those
guys definitely can do evening meetings.
okay? So maybe for the next one, I'll try that 5 p.m. time slot. That's kind of been our typical time slot. And I'll see what the town has, sort of the middle of June, and get back to everybody on that.
And then we will know what's going to happen for the summer. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We should
We'll
be
know
able
what
to
our options
continue
are.
doing this over the summer. And in some respects, I know for Minuteman, we're thinking about at some point when we do reopen or partially reopen, we're likely to do hybrid type services where some of it might be live and some of it might be virtual. So this may be something that we can either continue doing mostly virtually or do a hybrid where, 2 or 3 or 4 members might get together and some would be virtual. So we'll see how
Well, for the
it
lazy-
goes.
for the lazy among us, which includes me, this is wonderful.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
well, it's not
Sit on your
even,
couch and
yeah, it's not even about being lazy. It's pretty efficient in a lot of ways.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. Though I would
Great.
love to see you guys in person, in the flesh. All right. Anything else before we go?
It's great to see
Okay.
everybody.
Welcome
It
home,
is
Meryl.
great to see everybody.
Yes.
Yes, we're glad that you're back safely.
Oh,
And Terry, thank you for your work on our behalf with the select board. And Jeremy, thank you for helping us get this set up today.
course.
So we'll all be together again in the middle of June. And I'll get back to you with potential dates.
So the select board meeting is scheduled at 4 o'clock, is that correct?
Correct, and the public comments are at the end, so maybe 4:45, I really have no
I'll
idea.
try to tune in at the, maybe around
Yeah.
4, 5, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Thank you,
Yeah.
All right.
everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.